The perfectionist. The perfectionist delays starting or finishing tasks because the result has to meet an impossibly high standard. The work is never quite ready, so it keeps getting refined, adjusted, and second-guessed. This type often comes from environments where mistakes were heavily criticized or success was tightly defined. What makes it different is that it looks like productivity on the surface, but underneath there is fear of falling short. Over time, it slows progress and can quietly build anxiety around even simple tasks. The Overwhelmed Procrastinator. The overwhelmed procrastinator avoids tasks because everything feels too big or too complicated to handle. Instead of breaking work into smaller steps, the mind sees it as one heavy block. This pattern often develops when someone is juggling too many responsibilities without clear structure. The key difference here is not laziness, but mental overload. As a result, even starting becomes difficult, and the person may choose easier distractions just to get relief from the pressure. The deadline-driven procrastinator. The deadline-driven procrastinator waits until the last possible moment to act, relying on urgency as fuel. Work finally begins when time pressure becomes intense enough to force action. This behavior is often reinforced by past success under pressure, creating a habit of associating stress with productivity. Unlike others, this type can deliver results, but at the cost of stress, burnout, and inconsistent quality over time. The avoidant procrastinator. The avoidant procrastinator delays tasks that feel uncomfortable, boring, or emotionally unpleasant. The avoidance is not about difficulty, but about the feeling attached to the task. This pattern can come from negative past experiences or lack of interest. What makes it distinct is the emotional trigger behind the delay. The task itself may be simple, yet it gets pushed aside because it does not feel good to engage with it. The decision paralysis procrastinator. The decision paralysis procrastinator gets stuck when too many choices are involved. Instead of moving forward, the mind keeps analyzing options, trying to find the perfect one. This behavior is common in modern environments where choices are endless. The defining trait is overthinking rather than avoidance. Progress stops not because of fear of work, but because of fear of making the wrong decision. The distracted procrastinator. The distracted procrastinator struggles to maintain focus, constantly shifting attention from one thing to another. External stimuli like notifications, social media, or even small interruptions easily pull attention away. This type is shaped by highly stimulating environments where focus is rarely sustained. The difference here is not delay by choice, but by constant interruption. Over time, it weakens deep work ability and reduces overall efficiency.
The self-doubt procrastinator. The self-doubt procrastinator delays action because they question their own ability to succeed. Thoughts like, "I'm not ready" or "I might fail" create hesitation. This pattern is often rooted in past failures or lack of confidence. Unlike perfectionists who aim too high, this type struggles to believe they can meet even normal expectations. The delay becomes a way to avoid facing possible failure. The busy procrastinator. The busy procrastinator stays constantly occupied but avoids the most important tasks. Smaller, less meaningful activities fill the day, creating an illusion of productivity. This pattern often comes from discomfort with high-impact work or unclear priorities. What makes it unique is that time is not wasted but misused. Important tasks remain untouched while less critical ones get completed. The mood-based procrastinator. The mood-based procrastinator waits for the right feeling to begin work. If motivation is low or the mood does not feel aligned, the task is postponed. This behavior is common when people rely heavily on emotions to guide action. The difference here is that work becomes dependent on internal states rather than commitment. Over time, it creates inconsistency and makes progress unpredictable. The habitual procrastinator. The habitual procrastinator delays tasks almost automatically without a clear reason each time. It becomes a learned behavior repeated over years. This type is less about a single cause and more about ingrained patterns. The delay feels normal, almost invisible, which makes it harder to change. It matters because habits shape long-term outcomes, often without conscious awareness.
Now you know all the types of procrastinators. And once you recognize your type, you can start changing it, one small step at a time. Because progress doesn't come from perfection, it comes from action.